What's going on YouTube? It's J Rich back again with another one, and now I am going to do a series of videos. Short series is probably going to be 4 to 5 videos long, talking about CB radios and antenna systems for the newbie. This is for the new guy. This is not for you gurus. This is not for you truck drivers. It can apply to you new truck drivers as well. But I am not talking to the experienced guys that have been in the CB hobby for years and years and years. This is for somebody who says, hey, I think CBs are cool and I want to get into this and I want to install a CB and antenna into my personal vehicle, whether you're just in it for the hobby. Maybe you travel a lot and you want to hear what's going on the roads out there, because while the CB system is very old and it's outdated, so to speak, by comparison of today's technology with cell phones and laptops, GPS, things like that, the CB is still a very helpful tool if you'll use it. It is not helpful if you do not use it. So, the first video today, we're going to talk about the CB radio and the microphone itself. The next one we'll go over, in part 2, we will go over antennas and coax and placing those antennas, because placement of the antenna does matter, and that does make a difference in, say, what antenna you're going to buy. Part 3, we're going to do a basic install on part 3, and that basic install will consist of the old faithful, the reliable Cobra 29, because this is what I have laying around. I don't have a vast collection of CB radios. I have what I need, and this for me is a backup radio or a starter radio. Say if I get a new truck or I get go with a new company, something like that, I can throw this in there, plug it in, and pretty much go, as to where the radio that I currently use in my big rig, it's a little more involved. It requires going to the battery and connecting, stuff like that, because it's a high powered. And in the install, we will be installing your basic Wilson, what is this? A little wheel, they call this. Little wheel. And then there's like the 1000 and the 5000 mag mount. So yeah, we're going to install this into my personal vehicle later on in this series. Just be watching out for that. And then we'll go a little more advanced, or to a better antenna like this Striker. It's a SRA 10. It comes with coax. It's a mag mount, just like the little wheel is a mag mount. That's pretty basic. And then I'll also talk about some of the other antennas out there. You know, the Wilson 2000 trucker antenna, and we'll also talk about the fiberglass antennas like the Fire Stick. Forgive me. We'll talk about placing those and where you can and can't place them, because on like a lot, I see so many people installing antennas wrong. And then in the final part of the series, I'm going to go in depth with antenna grounding and RF bonding, which I've recently done a video of that on my big rig, and that works wonders for your antenna system. But all of these things need to be discussed, and I hate to be long-winded here, but a lot of new people, they think this is what matters most, and that's not true. This is about 25% of what matters. Yeah, you need a radio. It needs to work. It needs to be of a good quality. But what's more important than this are the antennas and the coax that you use. Your antenna system is 75% of the CB system. This is not the end all be all. let's go on ahead and jump into it. And if you would, go on ahead and hit that subscribe right there so that you can catch all of these videos. I will leave links down below to other videos like how to talk into the microphone properly. That's a big thing. Most people don't realize how you have to talk into the microphone. I'll leave links down below to videos like that. So let's go on ahead and get into it. Let's talk about CB radios. All right, guys. So first, when you need to kind of figure out what you want to do with your CB radio. Do you just want to hear what people have to say? Do you want to strike up conversations, or do you have a goal of trying to reach so far away? What are you going to be doing with it? Is it just going to be, is it going to be for pleasure, for business? I mean, are you going to jump into it 100% or what? So those are some things that you have to ask yourself. You also have to ask yourself, what are you going to put this CB radio in? Is it in a car, a pickup truck? Where are you going to mount it? Because that makes a difference too. It doesn't make a difference as far as the performance, but this radio, once you go into a pickup truck or a car, this is a big radio. I mean, it's a big radio. Now, you can find radios as small as down to this size spark plugs right here. And no kidding. I mean, look at the difference. You're going to get a radio this big, or you're going to get a radio this big. Now, there's a big difference in there. There are quality companies that make radios about this size. The President line is one to look at. The Midland makes small. I don't think they make them this small, but Midland makes some small radios, and even Cobra has a small radio. I'd rather have the President radio or a Midland radio over the small Cobra radio. But for us tractor trailer drivers, this is the small radio. This is the standard, the go-to. It says classic on it. It is the classic CB radio. I mean, this is the basic. It does everything you need for the most part. It gets out great, especially when you get somebody who knows what they're doing, who can tune this radio properly, and not just go in there and just start turning and cranking stuff up. I mean, this is old reliable right here. It really is. But in a vehicle, this is a big radio. In a tractor trailer, it's not so big. We got a little more room in there. So my Galaxy, which you would see in some of my other videos, it's considered a big radio because it's out another inch or so wider. It's deeper because it has an amp that hangs down. So it's considered a big radio. Now the difference is this radio puts out 4 watts from the factory, which is what's legal. You can have them turned up 10, 20, 40 watts. And then you'll start getting out several more miles with the appropriate antenna system. And what we'll do is we'll go out here to my pickup truck and we'll take this and we'll take this, and you can kind of get a good estimate of how it's going to look inside a vehicle and where do you want to put that. Another thing to consider when you're looking at CB radios is budget. This hobby can get expensive very fast. Extremely fast. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can burn this up in minutes and it will be no good. You will have to go find a CB shop and get them to fix it. If it's a radio that they even work on. There are some CB shops, they don't work on all radios. They work on the most common ones because that's what they know is the most common radios. Now, as far as budgets go, you can pick up used Cobras online. You can find them I've seen them from $30 all the way up to the new price of $125 to $150 for for a Cobra 29. And there's also the Cobra 29 digital that's got a full digital display. It's got one big knob in the center, and that does it keeps up with weather and stuff. It's a very good radio. The only Cobra 29 that I do not recommend would be the Cobra 29 Bluetooth. I've been hearing that they are just riddled with problems. They are a pain for the technicians to work on and things like that. So that's probably not a good choice. But you can go up. There's radios that are $600, $700, $800, and they put out a lot of power. They put out massive power. Now, when you're talking about stepping up like that, things need to change, because not every CB antenna is capable of that much power. Not all coaxes are capable of that much power, and wouldn't take long to actually set your vehicle on fire. Now, as far as your basic CB operation, this Cobra 29 or some of the other ones I mentioned, some of the Midlands and the President Series radios, they all do AM. Your Connexes, your Galaxies, Unidens, Strikers, they all do AM. Some do FM, and FM's not really that popular. And also what you'll run into is sideband. And you'll see a radio that's right up through here. It'll have a digital display, a digital readout, about 5 to 6 numbers long. And those radios, they do sidebands. And what that digital display is, it shows you what frequency you're on. Now you ask, what is sideband? On a regular CB radio, you have 40 channels. You change the channel. It's 40 different frequencies. With sidebands, you have uppers and lowers bands that you can talk to. It's kind of like channels between the channels, in a nutshell. I know there's going to be somebody watching this. That's not what it is at all. It's the frequency and the modulation of the flux capacitor and the da-da-da-da-da. Whoa, Jack, we ain't here for all that. We're here for the new guy. And the new guy will understand it's channels between channels on different frequencies. So that radio is a little more capable than what this radio is as far as the expansion of channels. So instead of 40 channels, you'd have 120 channels. Let's keep it simple. A lot of people want to know, what's the best radio? What's the best radio I can buy? The best radio is subjective. It's like, what's the best underwear? What's the best candy bar? Ford versus Chevy. It's all subjective. What are your goals? How much room do you have to work with? What's your budget? Then somebody can help you with what's the best radio out there. Because, hey, there are crappy radios that some of us just won't buy. I just won't buy it. And I won't recommend it either. And I will leave a link down in the description below where on this radio I will go over what all these knobs and buttons and switches do. Check out down below in the description. There's a link for that video. And at the end of the video, I will put a playlist up in the corner link to other CB related videos that you might find interesting. So check those out. But for now, let's go out to my personal vehicle and we're going to take a look at how big this radio actually is inside a personal vehicle. All right, YouTube, here we are out in the vehicle. I've got my radio and I've got my pretend micro radio that is also available. That pretty much, there's a radio out there from President, I think it's the President Bill, that is about this size. I mean, it's very close to this size. I mean, within a quarter of an inch. And compared to this, and this radio will do the same, if not more, than this radio will. So, let's take a look. Now, you got your radio. You went and bought it at the truck stop or Craigslist or wherever. Now you're like, I'm going to put it, let's just put it right here. And you can do that. If that's what you want to do, you can mount it there. Now, you're going to have your microphone is going to come out the front, but on the back, you're going to have your coax, your power, and possibly an external speaker, depending on if you just take Velcro and Velcro this thing down. If you do that, you're not going to hear much of anything because the speaker is on the bottom of the radio. But if you use the mount, you drill some holes, you can mount it up here like this and get it out of the way. Let's see, you can come down here on the side, mount it like this. Then you're starting to occupy your passenger's space, your wife's space, or girlfriend's space, or something like that. You can come over here on your side, kind of stick it down here somewhere like that. Now you're in your space. I've seen them here on the dash under the steering wheel. And I tell you what, that's convenient to, to be out of the way. That's kind of convenient to go right there. You'd have to look around your steering wheel, from back here. You're going to have to look around your steering wheel to see what knob you're turning or whatever. You could come over here to this side. That's a good place to run your knee into when you get out of the vehicle. Yeah, that hurt. Wouldn't take you but a time or two. Now let's look at our micro radio. Our micro radio could almost fit down in the cup holder. And really with this console, I could cut a hole in the bottom of it and mount it vertically down in the hole. Shoot, I could even just lay it there. Really, you could come to the side over here. You can come up here. If you had a cubby hole, say like instead of a full-on touchscreen, which yes, I know my radio is dirty. Don't comment on my touchscreen. They are a magnet for lint. We know this. But yeah, if you had a cubby hole or something, you can jam that right into the cubby hole and, make it look like it came like that from the factory. You can come down here. It's not bad. Right here under the steering wheel. Wouldn't be a bad spot either. But you get my point. Looking for the right radio also depends on your mounting location, because look at the size of this in a passenger vehicle versus the size of this. And there you have it, YouTube. Choosing the right CB for what you want to do and getting your system ready to go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Ask a question down in the comments. If I can answer it, I'll answer it. There are plenty of other CB enthusiasts that watch my channel. Maybe they can contribute some as well to you. And remember, we all started somewhere. So to me, there's no stupid question out there. If you got a question, just ask it. I'm not going to laugh at you most of the time, but we all started somewhere, and a lot of people forget that. So ask a question if you need to. Watch my playlist. Go ahead and subscribe. Stay tuned next week for part 2 of this series where I talk about antennas and coax and the correct placement of those. So, I'm Jay Rich. Keep your knees in the breeze and the shiny side up. We'll be seeing you.